following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
We are back. Bronx Roots. Michael Preminger, David Hubler. I'm Ralph Tyko. Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. And we have the fun of getting together every week and just chatting about old times, Harris Field, Mushaloo Park, and life in general. Let's start it off with you, Michael. How was your week?
My week was good. I'm trying to remember what happened during the week. A lady at the Jewish home gave me a T-shirt.
Oh, nice.
I know that doesn't sound very exciting.
What does it say? It must say something.
No, nothing. It was for Valentine's Day.
Oh,
but I hadn't been there. I wasn't there on Valentine's Day because it was raining, so I chickened out. But I'm trying to. What else happened this week? Nothing. My grandson had his first game of the season yesterday.
Oh.
Boy, it's amazing how there's so many of these kids at the age of 5 and 6 already really know what they're doing. It's certainly at bat anyway.
Right, now this is still T-ball, am I correct?
No, this is the coach pitches.
Pitches. Okay.
And,
underhand, right? I mean, he put us in underhand.
No, overhand.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. And some of them, it's a little hard. They pitched 80, 90 miles an hour, and that's tough for the kids.
And those brushback pitches are terrible.
Yes.
The coach is on PEDs and stuff. That's what it was.
Yeah, it must be. Fortunately, the coaches
70 in the old days.
Yeah, they pitch to their own team, not to the other team.
Right, they pitch.
Although that would make it a kind of exciting, wouldn't it?
Brush back your own kid.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying if you pitch to the other team, you could, because you know how these days coaches are always fighting with the parents in the stands. I mean, so if you brush back some kid, the father comes charging out of the stands, and you get into real Donnybrook.
Oh, hopefully reminds me of the George Case story when George Case III is playing Little League. His dad, George Case Jr., for those of you out there who don't know, was a major league player and a darn good one. And his boy is playing George III, our partner on our podcast partner, is playing as a kid. And from the stands, his dad is there. From the stands comes some guy going, "You're never going to be as good as your dad." This is an 8-year-old boy. A parent screaming from the stands. It was horrible. It was horrible for his dad more than anything, to keep from smacking the guy in the mouth, I'm sure.
Sure.
But and then going home and telling George that, I'm going to love you no matter what you are. If you don't ever play ball or don't ever like it, you're not expected to be as good as me. You're 8 years old, for crying out loud. And he had to explain to him that people are cruel and what have you. But George tells the story of how angry his dad was at that guy. Crazy parents, over an amateur game, screaming at umpires and what have you. What are you teaching your kid?
And, in George's favor, I mean, from everything he's told us, his dad really didn't push his son at all. George III didn't push him at all to follow in his footsteps, which is in many cases, though, it's hard. I'm thinking of Ted Williams' son. I'm thinking of Joe DiMaggio's son, Mickey Mantle's boys. Even Yogi Berra's son.
Tragic stories.
Yeah,
well,
they all tried.
The three you mentioned, it's probably 5 kids altogether, and all of them were tragic. With
Yes.
Is that right? That they were really? What happened to the sons?
Well, with Ted Williams' boy, and DiMaggio was the same thing. They were sort of estranged, and I think DiMaggio's son sort of really just faded in.
Hit the skids.
Yeah, hit the skids, right. And of course, one of the Mantle boys died from, I think, alcoholism or from that disease that ran in the family that didn't. But
right.
they never.
Hodgkin is a form of Hodgkin's disease.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
Most of the male members of his family, uncles and his dad.
Yes, dad.
Got
yeah.
it.
But that's not what I was thinking of so much as the fact that these guys just, Berra's son, Dale Berra, played in the major leagues, but he was no Yogi Berra. He at least made it to the majors, but there was
exactly.
Good number. What? Yeah.
I say exactly, Dale Berra.
Yeah.
And and Yogi had another son that played pro football with the Colts.
Oh, really? I
didn't know. Was that right?
I didn't know.
Yeah.
That.
He wasn't a big star, but he made the Colts, and don't shortchange Dale Berra. Not that he was a great player.
No, right,
of
course.
He was pretty decent, and just to have made the major leagues,
sure, of course. And he was an infielder. He played shortstop and second base.
Yeah.
Right.
In fact, I even saw him play at the Dodger Stadium.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the only time I've ever seen him play.
I think at one time he played for his dad when his dad was managing the Yankees.
Maybe.
Yeah. I think you're right.
But
the pressure put on these kids today is just. I mean, Mike and I played disorganized ball. I mean, we just went out and played.
Right, me too.
Whatever season it was, that's what we played. And even though there was the PAL, the Police Athletic League, I was never, I never played in any organized league like that. And today, the kids not only have organized leagues, but then they have elite leagues, travel teams.
Oh, travel teams, yes, absolutely.
And I'm not, is that good or bad? I'm not sure. But, I mean, it puts a lot of pressure on the kids plus the parents. So,
and these travel teams start so young. It's not like 12 or 13. They're 8 and 9-year-old travel teams.
That's crazy.
Right.
That's really crazy.
That really is nuts.
Well, you could blame the parents in the sense that are we breeding, we collectively as a society, breeding kids just to make money? I remember there was this tennis thing going around with these tennis academies, Ballastari or whoever it was, and they were producing tennis players. But the kids give up their lives. They're on the courts like 8-9 hours a day, and I don't know if it's worth it. I do know it's never worth ingesting drugs to make you better.
No.
Not just because it's cheating or this, that, and the other thing, but there are some incredible side effects and long-term downers of screws up your system.
But it's it's even more than that. I mean, kids, everything is so organized for them that they really don't have. I mean, I've been by football fields where the kids are like 5 and 6 years old, and they're outfitted in helmets and shoulder pads and the whole bit, and they're little kids, and they shouldn't be.
What we've learned about helmets and how little they protect because of the repeated blows to the head, and how your cognizance is affected later in life, and there are so many pro football players that are struggling in life, with headaches all the time, and it's well publicized. How a person could put their kids on a football field at this point is almost beyond me.
And a lot of pro football players are saying they're not going to let their kids, play football. Just like there are a number of, major league ball players who are saying, don't teach your kid to throw a curveball till he's like 14, because that's all the kids want to do is throw curveballs, and it's such an unnatural motion to begin with, and then you have to twist your arms, and the bones are still growing, so it's not really something you should be doing.
Right, and what's interesting to me is a lot of the players that are being signed today are coming from northeastern colleges where they've had limited overexposure to throwing. So they're not leaving their best game on a high school field, so to speak, because they only play X number of games a year. And that's what the pros are looking at, because these kids in Florida and California who play year in and throughout the year, let's put it that way, just no rest for the weary, so to speak.
They burn themselves out.
Out. I meant to ask you, Michael, is there a passion with your kid for this, or is this more just something to do?
It seemed like the passion was more a year or two ago when he was like 3.5, 4, than it is now. And now that sounds insane. But before it used to be like, we got to go out in the backyard and hit all the time. Not as much anymore. And he's only 6. So we'll see.
Losing it. Well,
we'll see.
He's over the hill.
He's over the
6
hill.
years old.
He's going for free agency, probably. Yeah. Well, so many of these things, it's all perspective. I probably would have enjoyed playing some organized sport, but the only ones I know who played, and Mike, you remember that they were called the Falcons? They played over at Harris Field. That's
right.
And we knew. Did you play on that team?
I that's one of those things where I don't remember. Was Herbie Rosen on it?
I know John Klein was on it, but I can't remember anybody else who was on it. And they did play. They played in some league there. I don't
remember. Maybe I played one game. I know I played one game, but I don't remember it was part of the Falcons or I don't know. I don't remember. But the Falcons, Gary Marshall, his theater here, which is now called the Gary Marshall Theater in Burbank, was the Falcon Theater, named for, I guess he played on some form of the Falcons.
Maybe. I certainly don't know.
It was definitely named for when he played back in the Bronx.
Didn't know that.
What fueled Penny's passion to make the movie? Do you guys have any idea?
Oh, good. No, I don't. She's obviously a big sports fan because she was always at the Laker games.
Right.
Always.
Right.
But that's a good question. You know, I don't know. That would be fascinating, but now it's sadly too late to find out.
Yeah.
But our brother played softball, in the senior league.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. He played it, right up till a year or two before he passed. He was out there with knee braces on. Well, not knee braces, but something on his knees. And knee pads. And he could hardly run, but he could still pitch. And he would have somebody run for him when he was at bat. So maybe his love of sports and then of softball led her to. I don't know.
It might have just been a family thing,
Yeah, exactly.
Because that was a little bit before our time, basically. But if you lived in New York City in those years, you had all the sports available. All the major sports are right there. And the leagues was so small. The NBA, the NHL. The NHL had 6 teams. The NBA had like 8 teams, and they were all in the East, Northeast. Nobody went.
That's right.
So you could, you had always had Madison Square Garden in the winter, and you always had Yankee Stadium, Polo Grounds, and Ebbets Field in the summer. So and that's where a lot of sports fans, I think.
And you always had the World, we always had the World Series in the fall.
That's right.
Very few years where there wasn't a New York team playing in the World Series. I think for a while there it was like 49 to 64 or something like that.
Was it? Oh, wow.
Yeah, you're right.
Had gone out to California at that. By 59.
57 was the first season out there. Yeah.
Right. But the Yankees
58.
World
58.
Series, 57.
No.
Well, maybe it was 58. I forget, but I know it was 57 was either their first year out or the last year in New York.
No, they left in 57, and their first year out
was 58.
Was in 58.
Okay.
Who was in the 57 World Series in 58?
Oh, 57 Braves.
There were 2 years. 2 years, Milwaukee Braves and the Yankees.
But against who? Was it against the Yankees?
Yeah, the Yankees won one, and then the Braves won. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, those were the
Braves
2 years.
Won in 57.
The Braves won in 57, right? And then didn't they switch managers? The Yankees hired the Braves manager one of those 2 years, and then they.
That was in '64 when.
That was with the Cardinals.
The Cardinals.
Oh yes.
Right?
Okay.
Johnny Keane.
Yes.
Ooh,
that's
very
right.
good, Ralph. Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I have very little going on in my head except.
Well, I'm trying to remember the first year in that era when there was no New York team.
That's what I'm trying to think of. Yeah, that's why I asked who the Braves played. But you say they played the Yankees?
Yes, they played the Yankees.
Well,
they split the series 1-1.
The first time was 59, and like I say, the Dodgers played the Twins. But
no, the White Sox.
No, the White Sox.
Oh, you're right. In 59.
Now, but you can't. If you're counting the Dodgers playing them,
they were in California.
They were in California by then.
Yeah.
So there's an asterisk that goes up, a big old asterisk.
I'm just trying to. Just out of my head, it's got to be somewhere in that 60s, because the Giants sort of faded away. 61, I remember the Giants were in the World Series, but I'm trying to think.
That was 62. Not to correct you.
Okay, no, that's fine. We're talking about a half century ago now,
I know.
That when you stop to think about
how vivid those memories are, more so than our aunts and uncles. I mean, at least in my case,
Well, I didn't have any aunts or uncles in the major leagues, so I didn't get
Well,
it's hard to remember that.
I thought Heine Manouche was a relative of yours.
You know, there's a funny story. Oh, well, it's a funny story to me. Nobody else knows it, so I guess it's not a funny. But there's a movie, and I forget the name of the movie, and the actor in it was, I can't even think of his name, but I can see his face so clearly. He was in a lot of movies. I think he was in DOA, and he was in 1984. Anyway, there's a scene where he's talking. They're on a train,
Uh-huh.
and he's talking to a guy, and he says, you know, Heine Manouche, Heine Manouche, Heine Manouche, Heine Manouche. That's the sound the train makes. Heine Manouche, Heine Manouche. And I didn't know who Heine Manouche was at that point, but you know, it was such. It just sticks in my head, that whole scene in the train, and I wish I could remember the actor. I could probably look it up. I can't think of the name of the movie, but.
Hey, while I'm thinking about it, I want to ask you, Michael, from your comedy days and your career, do you remember a fellow by the name of Larry Hankin?
Sure.
He's going to be a guest on these airwaves on Monday, or is it Tuesday at high noon, California time. So if you'd like to call in and chat with him, and me, that would be terrific at that time.
Okay, that's the time that that I volunteer.
Ah, okay.
But Larry Hankin is a very funny man, a tremendous funny actor.
And
great.
I was introduced to him by a fellow by the name of Steve Joyner, and I spoke to him a few times this past week, and he's going to come on. And he was our connect was that Larry Hankin was an original committee, an improv group out in California.
Yeah.
Some of the people in that were Joan Baez's sister, Mimi Farina, and so we chatted about those days, and he's going to come on this week. So I'm excited about that, and if you don't mind, I'll drop your name.
But not too
okay,
hard.
I'm sure he doesn't know who I am, but I just looked him up, and by the way, the Braves and Yankees played in 57 and 58.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah,
They won one. Each team won one or the other.
Right. So you're right. You're right, Ralph. New York was represented from 49 through 58. Holy mackerel.
And then there was the Dodgers, but they had moved to Los Angeles. So you could almost say it was still, I mean,
so then you could extend that in that case to 64.
Right, exactly.
When the when the Yankees played the Cardinals, and you were right on that about the change of managers.
Yeah, Keen. Yeah.
So we all have great recall for that.
When can we let the Dodgers go as an official California team? The Giants was what, 62, right? The Giants, because then they didn't win a World Series or even get in one for a long, long time.
No, but they played the Yankees.
But I'm trying to think of when you can take the what was it? Kansas City, when the Royals played in the World. I'm trying to remember a World Series that did not have two New York-based or formerly based New York teams in it. I can't come across.
I think it was. It must have been 65 and.
Well, no, 65. The Dodgers beat the Dodgers won in 65.
Oh, then we can continue it to 66.
And then lost. I think they beat the Twins, and then they lost in 66 to the Orioles.
Oh yeah, that terrific World Series.
Yeah.
Right.
And maybe 67 guys, right?
60. I don't. I know the old ones. I don't know the last 30 years. I'm trying to remember. Like, I know the Dodgers won it last year, but they lost to the Red Sox.
Yes.
That's my new memory. The one I managed to save.
Of anything past the Revolution.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
So, just for information, it says the Cardinals played the Red Sox in the '67 World Series.
Then that must have been it. That must have been it.
That ended that run. So.
Wow.
Wow, that was.
That's quite a run.
That's 15 years, more, 16, 17 years, from 49 through 66.
And you know what's interesting? When you just mentioned the 66 team, the manager of the Baltimore Orioles was Hank Bauer.
Former Yankee great.
For Roger Maris.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So
the major. Oh no, that was Ralph Howe was the major, but he was a former military. Well, a lot of those guys, of course, were in the military during the war.
You're right about Hank Bauer. He was a Bronze Star, Purple Heart guy at D-Day.
Yeah.
He was you're right. Those guys all came out of World War II, and it really was a different era of lifestyle and
everything, of course.
Everything was different.
I mean, when Alan mentioned on the other show, when Alan mentioned that, he saw the games on television, and then when he went to, and it is a once in a lifetime experience, although it isn't. You can just to come out from that runway and see the green is magnificent on the Major League Baseball stadium, but.
Don't you just love the old black and white footage, though?
Yes, but what I was going to say was that in his case, he had a TV before he went to a ball game. I went to Yankee Stadium before we had a TV, so it was like, I'm watching it. You could hardly see the ball because it's white and everything is either gray. It was quite a different experience. And my parents subscribed to that theory that if you watch television or went to the movies, you'd go blind.
Right. Well, my parents subscribed to the go blind thing, something different.
Well, that was another reason.
Right. So I told them I'm just going to do it till I need glasses.
Right. That's whose old line is that? That's I forget.
Steve Allen, maybe.
Fred Allen, no.
Oh,
Fred Allen. I
say Steve Allen.
Steve Allen. I don't know. That would make a good quiz show. You take a bunch of old comics lines, famous lines, like "Take My Wife, Please," and
Absolutely.
who you have to find out. You have to name who. It's almost like what's that show that's been on for 150 years, where you have to name the question. You got the answer. You had the answer. Jeopardy. So you have to figure out which comic actually said that line. Be very interesting.
But just use the punchline, and then
the
person has to make
if it's that kind of joke,
Right.
That's funny.
By the way, I must mention this. I was driving home this afternoon. I was listening to NPR, and they were talking about these two guys from the Bronx who had this podcast, and it was so successful. They're now on regular. They have a very late night TV show.
Really?
So what's happened to us?
I don't know. I think we're tremendously successful.
No, it wasn't us. It was two other guys.
Just to be alive and talking to each other. That's where the success is. And,
you're not far from the truth.
Believe me.
Without getting maudlin. I mean, that's...
Without getting maudlin. And this is a week that I'm going to get maudlin for a second. One of my dear friends and his wife, both of them so close with on Facebook, Patrick, Tracy, and his wife Julia. Patrick even tried doing the A's podcast on this network for a while, and he's been suffering with chronic, terrible back problems, and he just is not pain-free enough to have continued, and miss him on that. Well, wake up yesterday morning, and there's a note on Facebook, our son, Austin, committed suicide. Young kid. Probably not yet in his, certainly not 25, somewhere between.
Jeez.
Oh, God. And it was a crusher, and for them, I'm just, I well up when I think of it. It's just horrible.
It's awful. Yeah, it is.
And I knew them. I never met their son, but I knew them through Facebook, and Patrick and Julia even came into. When I first started doing podcasting, it was out of a studio, and they came in and guested on my show and what have you. But my point is, when they referred to their boy growing up, it was always, when they made a post of it, it was always the boy, they called him, and that's how they referred to it, the boy. And
that's weird.
My son's mother and I always referred to Philip as the boy. You call him Philip, he's the boy, that kind of thing. And so when they said that, the connect, when I heard that he took his life, the connect was instantaneous from that standpoint. And I just want to put it out there. Patrick and Julia from Comfortably Zoned Radio, I'm feeling your pain, and I'm always here anytime either of you need to just blab. You know that. So there you go. Speaking of maudlin and mortality, could understand it, mortality. Almost, not accept it, but almost understand it with a person who has lived life. But for, an 18-year-old kid with whatever problems were presenting it, can't put it into perspective. It's short term, like everything. Life isn't what it is today. It's just a day, or a week or a month. It's gonna change. There's cycles in life, and anybody.
Yeah, they don't understand that. Yeah.
And if not that, think of the pain that you're causing.
Oh, of course. It's like all of these kids who've been murdered in these school shootings. The parents, it just alters their life forever. I mean, there's no coming
They had
back.
a number on the number of kids that were people who have been killed since the Newtown thing in Connecticut back then. Tally and I looked at each other like, did they say it right? It was up in the thousands, literally, of people dying from guns. And if that's not an emergency, you can get build a wall. That's an emergency instead of
exactly.
And it's amazing how many politicians are still taking money from the NRA.
Of course. Absolutely. I go past their headquarters every once in a while and just feel like bombing the place. It's off the highway. You can see it from the highway. It's not like I drive around the corner and there it is.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Ali North of
Infamy
is the head of the NRA now.
Yeah, he's president, I think. He's not the guy that.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he took Charlton Heston's place. Heston was their president for a good number of years, and they've got that guy, I forget his name, he's got like a French name, who's their the head publicity.
LaRouche or something.
Not LaRouche. Lyndon LaRouche died about 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah, right.
But it's something like that. Yeah, Lapierre, Wayne Lapierre. That's it. How French can you get? Lapierre, the Peter Lapierre. So, and he just spews this bile and it's awful stuff.
Well, it's when Ollie North was convicted, he went to prison. He actually served time in prison. He fell on the sword, so to speak, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Bush and Reagan.
He lied to Congress. I mean, here's a guy who was a colonel, I believe, and he shows up at the hearings in his Marine uniform, and he lies to Congress. And now, we've got very recent cases of people lying to Congress.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah,
who doesn't?
Well, because Congress lied to us.
Yeah.
So they lie to us, and they lied too. But how this man he ran for senator here in Virginia, and was soundly defeated. And he was defeated by a former Republican who I understand is now thinking of returning. He did one term, and I can't think of his name right now. He was actually Secretary of the Army before he became a U.S. Senator, and he beat North. And I never liked the guy for his politics, even though I didn't know him at all. But I was so happy because he ran as a Democrat, and he beat. I couldn't have cared if he ran as a communist and beat Ollie North. Beating Ollie North was A-OK in my book.
Yes, absolutely. He was really the poster boy for what went on in those days with Reagan and all of that. So,
yes, he
but like I say, he comes out, he gets a talk show gig instantaneously coming out of prison. So somebody took care of him somewhere along the line, and now this is a big position. President of NRA's probably making millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's a figurehead position, I'm sure.
Right.
Look
exactly.
Charlton Heston
is the head that we want up there representing such a,
Sure, they do. He draws in thousands. The people who came to see, I'm sure they came to see Charlton Heston. Remember when he held up that rifle, says, "Oh, take it out of my dead hands,"
Yeah, not soon enough, fucker.
Yeah, I know.
I'm with you, boy. I remember that, and I'm with you, Ralph. Exactly.
And I didn't even have any sympathy for him. He was on some show because he became he developed Alzheimer's, and he was hardly coherent when they were interviewing him. So I said, I don't care. That's, he deserves.
Well, you never want something like that. I mean. But
no, I know, but I just found his whole politics was so antithetical to what they should have been, and of course when they put Ollie North up there as they take care of their own. You must admit that like you were suggesting, That's why if Manafort ever gets out of prison, he'll find a cushy job. They'll have some.
Democrats have to find a way of coming together on the left side, because if they go moderate again with someone like Biden, even though it's going to be better than Trump, but it's going to be more of the same old. Even if he.
Go ahead.
I'm just hoping for a little bit of progressiveness from that party. I think that we can have free education and health care if they just tax the rich at the old rate.
Well, what people fail to realize is when they talk about, raising like 70% tax on multimillionaires or billionaires, the way they structure these taxes, they don't pay, let's say it's 70%. They don't pay 70% on all $2 trillion they have. They only pay 70%.
Net income, and you have accountants.
No, it's not even that. It's 70% of the money over, say, $2 billion that you have. Say you have $2.5 billion in assets. The 70% only covers the $500 million. It doesn't cover the rest. That's how they word these tax laws. So it's not like they're being bled dry. These multi-billionaires. It's a percentage of just over the top. It's crazy.
They could tax religion.
Yes.
that would be all religion. You tax them like you tax astrology.
No, you tax it like for the property tax.
Yeah,
they don't pay any property tax. Think of the big cathedrals.
Big cities like Boston and New York, the Catholic Church, for instance, owns quite a bit of real estate.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. You could live on the income you could get from St. Patrick's Cathedral on Fifth Avenue.
Yeah, right.
I mean, and they don't pay anything.
I tell a quick local story. The city of Alameda has a program where they will refurbish business fronts, that kind of thing. And you apply for it, you get it. Well, in our little town, one of the biggest businesses is St. Joe's High School and the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church owns property in Alameda, and of course they pay no taxes, which is arbitrary. That could be cities, states. Cities have enacted taxes on churches. It's almost voluntarily we don't do it. So not only does the church not pay taxes on some thriving businesses that they have in Alameda, where they own the property and rent it out to some businesses, but they have the nerve to apply for the program that's going to refurbish the building. They're not paying any taxes to contribute to the fund that refurbishes the building.
And so they want money from the fund.
And they want money from the fund that they don't
pay into.
Don't pay into. I mean, I'm just so appalled at that on a local level. I never got into politics locally or looked at what was going on until I realized all these people in power, they have to start their political careers somewhere. It just doesn't, you just don't get to be a senator first time out. You might be on the school board. You might be this, that, and the other thing. And I realize the roots of all this is at a local level. And
you know who discovered that? The Republican Party. For years now. And they make no bones about it. They have started grassroots elections to work their way up. And they've done a magnificent job of it. Look how many Republican governors there are. Look how many state legislatures are controlled by Republicans. They're not fighting with themselves the way the Democrats do. So, we should have everybody should get free college. No, they should get free medical care. I mean, the Republicans have one goal in mind, and that is to run the country. And they've done a tremendous job of bringing that about. You have to give them credit for that because they started years ago with this, and now, what is it? 30-something governors are Democrats. I can't give you all the figures, but if you look, you'll see that so many more state houses are controlled by Republicans than Democrats. Even here in Virginia, which has turned to be a pretty bluish state, they can't break through that state legislature and they're still, the House of Delegates is still Republican-led, and so is the state Senate. And even though it's
been off the front pages, but what about your Virginia situation politically in the last?
What you mean with the governor and the lieutenant governor
with the
and
governor,
attorney general?
Yeah.
Well, it has been off the pages. You're right. And the Republicans in the state legislature are trying to get these two women who've accused Fairfax, the lieutenant governor, of testifying in public against him. The Republicans in the state legislature are trying to say, look, that should be done by the investigative branch. You don't have, so it's devolved into a political football, and we'll see. The governor, I believe, is going to weather this storm, Northam. I think he's got too many good things on his resume. They're not going to get rid of him so fast. I have a feeling, however, that to appease everyone, except the totally unappeasable, Fairfax may have to go. And I think that would be the end of it. I think they'd throw him under the bus, as the saying goes.
Right. Well,
because lieutenant governors don't do very much. They're like old-time vice presidents.
His was a little different than blackface.
Yeah.
Incredibly serious and widespread. They had some report where a newspaper looked at all the yearbooks.
Oh yes, yeah.
And it turns out there's a lot of crazy stuff going on with that. But this lieutenant governor has more serious crimes.
Yeah. Did you know that actually black entertainers in the 20s and 30s and even into the 40s would sometimes put on blackface?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes.
But let me tell you something. This week, somebody sent me a link to it. It's a Cab Calloway on YouTube with the Nicholas brothers.
Oh, yeah, the dancing brothers.
And there's one 12-minute dance that they do.
Oh, yeah.
Is absolutely incredible. I mean, you talk about athletic ability, you talk about coordination.
You watch that and you go, that's impossible.
Right, the splits on the stairs and what have you.
When they jump off the stairs and land in a split, you go,
and simultaneously they come up together and what have you. Unreal.
But if you watch one of the old Mickey Rooney, Judy Garland movies, where they always ended these shows.
They put on blackface, right?
Yeah, they put on blackface, exactly. Mickey, and of course, what?
Yeah.
And then don't forget Mickey Rooney playing the Japanese upstairs neighbor.
Oh, that was one of the worst
Breakfast of Tiffany's.
Worst cases of what's the word? That was just
racism.
Such a wonderful movie, and that was horrible.
Yes, it was. It never should have been in that movie. They should recut it and cut him out of it.
Yeah, they really should.
And he walks around in those wooden shoes that I guess Japanese peasants wore because they couldn't.
Yeah, and the teeth they put. Yeah. Oh my God, that was awful. And
there was a movie just the other night. I forget. It was one of those like 55 Days at Peking, which by the way Charlton Heston was in. And at that point he needed guns because the Chinese were attacking them, so he needed a gun. I could understand that. But later on, when he
special circumstances.
Yeah, different circumstances. Yeah. But one of the actresses in the movie was Caucasian, and they put these little things in her eyes, to make her look Oriental, Occidental,
in those days, well, you go back to The Good Earth.
Yes, exactly.
With Paul Muni, and they try a little bit of making him Chinese looking, and then the woman Louise Reiner,
yeah,
yeah,
no relation to Carl, as far as I know.
No.
Or Mark, the guard from NYU.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Good. Carl grew up in the East Bronx, so maybe he doesn't connect. But anyway, because he went to Monroe High School. But and nobody thought there was anything wrong with these people being made up to look like Asians. It was, and even the Charlie Chan movies, the very popular Charlie Chan movies. The actors were never Asian.
I always found it funny that the guys who played Charlie Chan were Caucasian, but number one son was Chinese.
Yes, right. Yes.
It was, and of course, and spoke English much better than Charlie Chan.
Than Charlie Chan, that's
he
true.
Was Chinese. Charlie Chan was
Yes, there was another series like that. I can't remember which one it was, but but that was the times. Nobody thought it was a derogatory thing. And sure, by today's standards, that was all wrong. Just like lynching is wrong. 1840, 1850, a lot of people in the South, nobody thought there was much about lynching.
Oh, what that kid did in Chicago, that actor, and I'm not even familiar with the show or anything. But the
kid who said he was
makes the hate crime.
Oh yeah. I posted on Facebook. I said that just proves that not all actors make good directors, because he directed this whole thing and it just blew up in his face. And I thought at first he was Jewish.
Your Facebook posts? I don't understand.
Have you tried to be my friend? After all these years?
I don't know. You mean on the
I
internet?
didn't know you were on Facebook.
Yes, I'm on Facebook.
I used to get your stuff, but I don't know what happened. I don't know how to do it. How do I request that?
I don't know.
A suggestion?
Yes. Go ahead, if you know how to
Michael.
do that. Yeah.
Yes.
To Michael, go to the library and have they teach courses for seniors.
Oh yeah. Or I can ask my daughter and her husband.
Or you could ask your daughter how to navigate it. We'd love to have you on Facebook. It really is a great way of communicating with the world. It has limitations. It's all of everything you hear about it and more, but it certainly has advantages. And
well, you have to sort of be prepared to pull the plug if you start getting messages from Russia, like Russian women.
Yes.
That I do get.
No, that's not what you're not supposed to get that. They'll have the FBI at your door soon. Breaking it down.
They'll land on your roof.
Yeah, breaking your door down.
Right.
This one.
But I don't know. I honestly don't know. I know I've got a Facebook page, and I'm trying to use it less.
Stuff.
And now you don't get it?
No.
I didn't do anything to change it. I don't know.
Oh, I probably did. Who knows what the hell I did? I hit buttons and things go off, and then I'm talking to Russian, like you say, Russian women, people in the Vatican. I don't know I don't know.
Ralph gets it because I see Ralph has made comments.
Czechoslovakian hockey players. I'm getting all.
Hey, I've made a life's career out of I don't know. If you ask me, I just don't know either.
I don't know. I don't know. So who's going to win the award tonight?
I was going to ask that. Yeah, who do you think? Best Picture.
I think Roman's going to win, but I'm not a fan of that picture at all.
Yeah, I saw it too.
I was so disappointed.
Yeah,
here, it was, they hyped the hell out of it. Every day the newspaper would come with a full-page ad. The other day I was making an omelet. I opened the egg, and there was a poster for Roma. It was everywhere you turn, Roma.
I thought it was an Italian movie at first. I mean, Roma. What?
Roma. That's what I thought.
I still don't know what the title means.
The title was an area he grew up in.
In Mexico City?
Yeah.
Huh. I dare tell you one thing, that the birthing scene was just, whoa, wrenching.
Yeah, exactly.
I might win for that. Now, coming home today for my errands before the show, there was a talk about the music, the score that was used in the film. Frankly, I don't remember any music in the movie at all. But they were saying, well, you should listen to the score, you should get the album before you even see the movie. And it's too late.
The album?
Yeah, I guess they put it out as an album. It's a mixture of Mexican and
CD.
The CD, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
I know.
The beat. Remember you have they snuck in a lot of music stuff in Roma. For instance, just before she had the baby, there was a doo-wop group singing, but I don't know if you'd have to watch it again.
Yeah, I could watch it again.
It was the Earls. It was the Earls. Remember Me Baby, I think it was.
Be My Baby.
Yeah, that's what I remember that. Yes.
Now you
sure,
remember.
It was appropriate.
Right. All right, guys. This has been tremendous as usual.
Right.
It's something I look forward to all week. Thank you for being my friends, gentlemen, and thank you for listening out there. The name of the show is Bronx Roots. Michael Preminger, David Hubler.
Yeah, and work on getting us that TV gig late at night. See what you can do.
Yeah.
Because I only sleep.
Who's gonna wake Michael to tell him to come on?
Oh no, I'll be up.
All right.
Okay.
We're counting on it.
Okay.
All right.
Take care. Bye.
Problem is, I have a face for radio, guys. I'll tell you that.
Hey, there you go.
Bye.
Right.
Okay. Bye.
Be good, everybody. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Bronx Roots, Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. Adios. The proceeding was a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production. Thank you for listening.